Hey guys, we figured out how to play Recoleta already, but what about team building around her? What characters would you play with her? What is the best team for her, and why is that the case? Obviously, Melania is her partner in crime. Those two are pretty much inseparable and they should be played together. Now, where do you go from here though? Who do you add and why? Let's build the very best team in the game for Recoleta first. And for us to be able to do that, we need Pickles. Pickles is the second best support in the game when it comes to supporting Recoleta, for the time being at least, as he supports mineral type of latest characters, like a beast that he is. He's a cute doggy, but he's a beast, okay? So those two are staples for Recoleta right now. You would want or need at least one of them. Both of them together are absolutely splendid. Another reason why Pickles is so good is that he plays himself. He is extremely AP friendly and you never use an incantation with him actively. That comes in very clutch for this team, because Recoleta and Melania are pretty AP heavy, and those are the two characters that you will actively play and use their incantations with. Now this team needs a healer. There's of course a very obvious answer that everyone knows by now, and that is Fatutu. Fatutu is a very boring pick here, because she's the best healer for every single team in the game. She has no one that contests her spot for like anything, right? No matter what team you play, Fatutu is the best healer, and that's just how it is. But you might want to have Fatutu free to play her in another team, maybe. And so who would be the second best healer in the game for this Recoleta team? And the answer is Medicine Pocket with her current Euphoria. Why? Same reason as to why Pickles is so good. Medicine Pocket plays herself. She does never consume any IP ever, as she does everything passively. She's about her incantation number 1, and she uses this passively twice per round. Each time one of your characters is attacked, she will heal and shield the team and keep them alive without ever consuming any IP. And that leaves Recoleta and Melania free to do their job. That is the best team that is possible right now for Recoleta in this game. Now, there are you have options, right? You always want to keep Melania or Pickles with Recoleta. Like, Melania is the best choice if you don't have Melania yet, because you maybe wait to get her for free in version 2.7 from the free selector that we talked about. Like, that's cool. Maybe you have Pickles, that would be splendid. You would want at least one of these two together with Recoleta right now. Otherwise, it's gonna be a little bit on the rough side, as Recoleta is not self-sustainable. She needs at least a little bit of help. So Pickles and Melania would provide that, especially Melania, but if you don't have her, then go for Pickles. Now you have options, right? Let's keep, just for argument's sake, Melania in this team. So if you don't have Melania, if you don't have Pickles, you don't want to go for Medicine Pocket, what are other good options? Of course, let's get the boring one out of the way first again. It is like with every single team. You know, every main DPS in this game, like Recoleta, they have always their partner in crime. Semmelweis has Eternity, Recoleta has Melania, and so on and so forth, right? So you can always put in the combination. You pick the main DPS, you put in his partner in crime, and then you simply slot in Fatutu and Flutterpage, and that is gonna work in pretty much every single scenario out there. Everyone should be aware of this. In case you are not, here you go. Main DPS, partner in crime, Flutterpage, Fatutu. That is always, in 100% of the cases, it will work. and it's gonna be very, very good. So we want more options though. Not everyone has Flutter page, and yeah, maybe that is a little bit too boring, that is a little bit too generic. You want these characters for other teams, right? So what are other good options? Another very good option to slot into this team is Lara. Why? Because she grants her entire team plus 40% win rate. I think. That would be great if she would increase your win rate by 40% just like that. No, her crit rate, of course. Crit rate for the team is increased by 40% for 3 rounds after Lara used her ultimate. And you can make her use her ultimate for free without consuming any Moxie with Recoleta's precast incantation. Now, that is a little bit of a bummer. Yeah, 40% crit rate for the entire team is great, right? No question about it. That's why Lara is here. But the bummer is that you would want to use Recoleta's precast incantation on Melania, so that Melania uses her ultimate and you stack up the fixed plan buff onto your team. That is the best thing you could possibly do. But, you know, maybe, let's say you don't have Melania and you play that with Pickles. Then Lara's buff is actually better. 40% win rate is, again, 40% crit rate is better than plus 30% like raw damage, you know? I mean, is it truly better? It's a little bit debatable. Crit rate is always a little bit on the gambling side, always a little bit of a dice roll. But overall, I would say, yeah, this is a little bit better than Pickles buff. So you can use Recoleta's precast incantation on Lara to increase your team's crit rate by 40. And also, if you have very, very AP friendly characters, like if this would be your team, for example, if you don't play Melania, but you play Pickles, and then you have Medicine Pocket, that leaves AP up on the table like for free, you know, and then Lara can come in and use this free AP that Melania now doesn't take up. So that's another very great option to actually build this team. And yeah, those are all the combinations, right? Yeah, like let's build up the best team in the game that is possible for Recoleta right here before we continue talking a little bit more about this, because we have characters coming up in the future that are also pretty good replacements here. So let's talk about them. In version 2.7, yeah, first of all, remember the free collector. You can get Melania or Medicine Pocket for free if you wanted to. So those are 2 great options to pick up if you want to play Recoleta. But in version 2.7, we get a character named Name Day for free. That's a 5-star. That is also a pretty good character for this team in case you would miss out on... Yeah, you can't miss out on Melania, because if you want to play Recoleta, you pick up Melania, right? From the free character selector. And if you then don't have Pickles, maybe, you could put in Name Day if you really wanted to. But yeah, keep in mind, that is not the best option. It's only a 5-star. But considering he is a 5-star and he is completely for free, he is actually a pretty good support for main DPS characters that excel at using their ultimate, which is perfectly suited for Recoleta, so that's an option. Also, there's gonna be a character that drops in version 2.7 named Hisabeth. I would advise you, as you probably already know, to skip that, but you know, there are people out there that spend money, that have a lot of resources, whatever it might be. Maybe you are just a big fan of Hisabeth and you want to pull for her, and that's why you go for it, right? Then she is a very, very good addition to this team as well, because as I said, Recoleta and Melania, they are heavy on AP usage, so they want to be paired with characters that play themselves, or at least don't use up a lot of AP. And Hisabeth is exactly that. Hisabeth does a whole bunch of damage but for just 0 AP she deals damage without consuming any AP, and that would improve this team's damage output like pretty significantly. It is not a direct support for Recoleta, but it is a pretty viable option. Hisabeth is a very slottable character in general, and yeah, again, since she doesn't use up any AP, she is a very great fit for this team as well. In case you miss a character, or yeah, if you pull for Hisabeth and you want to play her, she can be slotted in here very, very nicely. That's the point. And now we come to a character that we get in version 2.8 at the 2nd anniversary. That is gonna change this team entirely and elevate it to a whole nother level. And that's gonna be Muldir. That is gonna be not a must-have. This team is already strong enough, honestly, without Muldir. If you have both, like Melania, Pickles, Hisabeth, you know, you can go for Fluttermage. This team has a lot of option, and it is very, very strong, regardless, even without Muldir. But still, like, Muldir is gonna be crazy best in slot here, and I would highly, highly advise you pull for Muldir if you play Recoleta with like in any team, in any combination. Muldir is going to be completely out of control nuts and is going to elevate this team to a whole nother level. You will have AP plus, you will have more Moxie thanks to that, you will have a whole bunch of ultimate might and so on and so forth. It's going to be out of control. So that is it about team building for Recoleta. Now let's take a look at how this looks in battle. And let's talk specifically and go over specifically how the rotation for this team actually looks like right now. So here we are. Don't worry, we will not do this battle all over again. It's just real quick to take a look at the exact rotation and how everything is gonna play out. So of course it depends a little bit on what you have available to yourself, but the first turn, this is always gonna play out that way no matter what. So first of all, you want to use your precast incantation right out of the gate, because if you don't use this first, then you would risk Recoleta building up enough Moxie so that she uses her ultimate instead. But you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that Melania uses her ultimate for free by using this precast incantation, so your team stacks up already on fixed plan. And then you continue your rotation by applying Passion Drain, if possible, to all of your opponents. So you use an incantation with Melania, you switch targets, attack that one as well with an incantation from Melania. Now there's one opponent left. Since the second incantation of Melania attacks 2 enemies by random, you cannot guarantee which targets you hit with that. So since we target this one with incantation number 1, this one with incantation number 2. Now the third opponent is not 100% guaranteed to also get Passion Drain, so we use Recoleta's debuff on him as well. And now we ensured 100% that all of our opponents have Passion Drain on them. Now we can switch back to the main target and use Recoleta's incantation number 1, because this one attacks 2 enemies, and we now ensured that no matter what 2 enemies are hit, they both have Passion Drain on them, and we generate the most amount of Moxie with Recoleta as possible, right? So yeah, let's play that out and see what happens. So Melania will use her ultimate, that will give our team fixed plan, that increases our damage output. Now we attack another target to apply Passion Drain. We attack him again to apply Passion Drain. Another target, apply Passion Drain. Third target, apply Passion Drain. And Recoleta gained Moxie now as much as possible. You see, we already have 10 Moxie almost. We only need one more incantation, and then we have 10 Moxie. So that's the best possible way you can approach this. Now, you see we have 5 stacks of monomythic narrative and 5 stacks of assemble narrative. That is good enough. You want 10 stacks at least combined of these two buffs. The more the better, of course, but 10 is like the key number here. So now it's time to use our ultimate with Recoleta. We need just one more Moxie. And how do we gain this Moxie? Again, we see that two of our enemies have still passion drain on them, right? This one and this one. That leaves one target without passion drain. That's not something we want, so we attack him with Melania first, then applies passion drain. Now we attack it with whatever incantation we have for Recoleta. Now we actively use Melania's ultimate, which we only always want to do this only right before we use the ultimate with Recoleta, because that would gain us additional stacks of fixed plan. We never want to use the ultimate from Melania if we don't also use the ultimate for Recoleta in the same turn. Why? Because we want to always have Melania with 5 Moxie accumulated already. We never want to get rid of her Moxie. That is because if we accumulate Moxie with Melania, then she stores this Moxie and gives it to her allies at the end of the round. If she doesn't have 5 Moxie, she wouldn't do that. So keep that in mind. That is very, very important. But now we have 10 stacks with Recoleta. We have 10 Moxie ready, so we want to use her ultimate. And we want more fixed plans, so we use Melania's ultimate. Again, this is the only scenario in which you ever use Melania's ultimate. You never do this otherwise. Only with precast incantations from Recoleta and right before you use Recoleta's ultimate. And Recoleta's ultimate, you need 10 stacks and 10 Moxie, otherwise don't use the ultimate. And that's it. You will then have 2 other teammates, of course. And you want these teammates to play themselves. Like Pickles, like Medicine Pocket. You know something. If you don't have Melania, then you play Lopera and she takes the spot. We talked about this when we talked about the team building. So you see, this is the exact rotation. Now we face a little bit of an issue because Recoleta is at 5 Moxie and Melania is also at 5 Moxie. Why is this an issue? Because we have our precast incantation ready and we want to use this. We want to use it in a way that Melania uses her ultimate though. That is now a 50-50 chance. If we cast this precast incantation now, then 2 of our characters have the same amount of Moxie accumulated. So it's a 50-50, it will use either one and you have to go for the gamble. What you have to keep in mind is, again, use this precast incantation first. Because if we would now gain additional Moxie by using an incantation with Recoleta, she would have like 6-7 Moxie. And then it wouldn't be a 50-50 gamble anymore, which ultimate we cast with this precast incantation. So we want to gamble and that's why we use it first. And then again, then it's the same rotation. You will check who of your enemies already has passion drain. This one, the main target, has passion drain. So you want to see that you apply passion drain to the other 2 targets. How do you do that? Easy. You attack the other targets with Melania. Then you use Recoleta's incantation onto a target that guaranteed has passion drain already on it. So it would be either this main target or the one that we just casted our incantation with Melania on. These 2 now guaranteed have passion drain. That's who we want to attack with Recoleta. Now you can see though, we would have additional AP that would be unused. So what we're gonna do instead is we want to use our debuff incantation here with Medicine Pocket, because that would lead to us dealing more damage. So we want to apply this first to a target that we're gonna attack. We do that. Then we use Melania to apply the Passion Drain and make use of this extra damage. Then we use our precast incantation, also on the target that we used to debuff on. Now Passion Drain is applied to this main target for 100%. It will be still on there. So that's what we're gonna use Recoleta's incantation number 1 on. And now you gotta count. This is 1. This will be 3 additional Moxie accumulated. 3 plus 5, that's 8. So we have only 8 Moxie. That means we don't want to use our ultimate here. So we're gonna do like something else, you know, whatever we can. We just attack one more time with anything that we have. The important note is you want to apply Passion Drain. Your precast incantation, you have to make sure that it always uses Melania's ultimate. And that you never use your ultimate with Recoleta unless you have 10 Moxie and 10 stacks. Those are the important things to take away here. And everything else that you don't use, that you don't do with Recoleta or Melania, you have to wing it a little bit, like I did with the debuff for Medicine Pocket right there. I even attacked with Shamani once, you know, but because I had AP that I could not use up with Melania or Recoleta, and that's the point where you have to wing it a little bit, depending on what the 2 other characters that you pair with Recoleta and Melania actually are. So now you can see we have 8 Moxie accumulated with Recoleta. We want this to be 10. How do we do this? We apply Passion Drain with Melania. Then we attack the target that has Passion Drain on them with Recoleta. This will net us guaranteed the 2 Moxie that we need. Now we want to use our ultimate. What did we already figure out? What do we always want to use right before we use the ultimate with Recoleta? The answer is Melania's ultimate. Why is it Melania's ultimate? Because of the fixed plan stacks. If the answers to the questions that I just asked, if you didn't answer them right, go watch this breakdown one more time. If you answer them correctly, then you are ready to play this team. See, you see this absolutely ridiculous damage with Recoleta? That is because of the fixed plans, that is because of the 10 stacks, and that is because we accumulated 10 Moxie. And that's all there is to this team. Now you would just play it out over and over and over again. Here, see the precast. You see Melania has 4 Moxie, you see Shamani has 4 Moxie. That would be a 50-50 gamble on which ultimate will be used. You don't want that. So what do? You attack with Melania first to accumulate an additional Moxie. Now you can see she has 5. Now you can use the precast incantation from Recoleta twice to make her use her ultimate twice. That gives you stacks of fixed plan, that makes you deal more damage. Now you have AP left, so you apply Passion Drain to targets, and after you did that, you will use incantation number 1 with Recoleta, and after that you wing it a little bit, and I just attack with Shamani, you know?
Conventional choice.
And yeah, that is now truly all the information that someone could possibly give you when it comes to playing this team, right? So I hope that was fun and informative. If you like Reverse1999 content in general, please consider leaving a follow on my channel, I would really appreciate that. But until next time, take care of yourselves, have a great day, and you guessed it, we love this game.